Make mine the P-funk. I want my funk uncut. Yeah, make my funk the P-funk. I wants to get funked up.
America, we're going to talk a little bit about causality. I started the Funky Academic to give an introduction to political philosophy, to do my part to raise the quality of political discourse and to see if I could do it to a dope beat. Now, you don't get very far in philosophy, or science for that matter, without talking a little bit about causality. I'm going to handle this with a few words.
Shaheed pushed the fader from here to Grenada. Mr. Energetic, who me sound pathetic. When's the last time you heard a funky diabetic?
Causality simply means what brings it about. When you give a causal explanation, you're giving an account of what brings it about, where the thing that is brought about is the effect. If you know a little bit about words, you know that to cause and to effect mean the same thing. That is, to bring about. Now, the difference between to effect with an E and to effect with an A is that to effect with an A means to change, while to effect with an E means to bring about. Now, Aristotle was a little bit of a philosopher, natural scientist. He picked apart the world and found out that there are 4 different ways to answer the cause question: efficient cause, formal cause, material cause, and final cause. Now let's take a baseball glove. What caused this baseball glove? The efficient cause is characterized by being external to the object. The leather worker at the tannery is the efficient cause of the baseball glove. But you see how you can appreciate the glove without even thinking about the leather worker. Now, the formal cause concerns how the thing is arranged so that it is what it is and not something else. For example, the leather worker could just as easily use this technique to arrange the leather into a shoe and not a glove. The form of a hand makes it a glove and not a shoe. Now, the material cause is the matter upon which the formal technique is worked upon. So the material cause of the baseball glove is the leather, and the formal cause of the baseball glove is the form of the hand. Now, the final cause of the baseball glove is that for the sake of which the glove is made, namely the game of baseball. Now, one critique of the industrial age is that our political economy places too much emphasis on efficient causes. We are worried about how to produce more gloves for cheaper, so much so that we subordinate the explanatory power of all of the other causes to the efficient cause. And the real cause becomes the efficient cause, because it's at the level of the efficient cause where the exchange of money and the division of labor happens. The canons of validity for industrial production becomes the canons of validity for all human relations and causal explanations. For example, the gun maker does not need to know the final cause which brings the gun purchaser to purchase the gun. In fact, knowing the gun purchaser's final cause may get in the way of business. This is how the needs of commerce come to affect how we talk about causality. I've said that one problem with causality in human relations is that we're given to talk about only efficient causality. Another problem with talking about causality in human relations is that we like to think that we are free. When someone asks me, what brought about your action? I don't want to say that some external actor works some sort of technique on me, even though we have an entire industry, advertising, that teaches people how to do just that. And even though some religious people find dignity in saying, God made me do it, and business people will say, especially when they're doing something ethically dubious, that the market demanded that I do it. Instead, I want to say that I did it. I am a free Negro and nobody makes me do anything. So how do you give causal accounts of free actions? The answer is that you don't. Freedom is the cause of the action. That's why free actions reveal something about the person who performs them rather than their external conditions. There are ways of accounting for free actions. In order to account for a free action, you give the conditions for the possibility of that free action. Freedom is still the cause, but all of the other conditions enable the possibility for the concrete expression of that action. Nobody caused me to study philosophy or vote for Bernie Sanders. I will say that one of the conditions for my Sanders support was that he spoke in a way about public goods I find helpful. That didn't cause me to vote for him, but it was one of the conditions for the possibility that I would vote for him. Another condition for the possibility for me to vote is that we live in a democracy with polling places. These are all conditions that enable my freedom to cause me to vote for Sanders. So when do we talk about the kind of Aristotelian causality under the concept of nature, and when do we talk about the conditions of possibility under the concept of freedom? Now, Hegel understood that depends on the shape of your consciousness and how aware you are of your conditions. Now, consciousness raising in feminism is a good place to start. Depending on where and when you grew up and your influences, it was known with various degrees of certainty that what women were doing with their lives was causally determined by nature. You're going to go out into the field and work or wash clothes for the family. Whatever, you didn't decide to do it. Your action was held under the concept of nature. It was just what you did. The possibility of doing otherwise wasn't even intelligible. The dominant American narrative held the same naturalized, oppressive stance towards American black people. However, now our contemporary historical consciousness is different, thanks be. You can still make the same actions going out into the field or washing laundry, but now it's known to be a product of freedom and not nature. And any account of a woman's action must use concepts adequate to her freedom. Like, what are the conditions of the possibility for her to go out to the field or wash laundry or become an astronaut or a philosophy professor? And any external coercions that preclude the possibility of her free action become justice issues. And these obstacles to her freedom can be named as external coercions that are erected freely by others, usually men, and so can be dismantled by those same others. So when do we talk about the conditions of freedom and when do we talk about causal explanations? That depends on the shape of our consciousness and how particular events in the world have become intelligible to us. Whether it is a matter of nature giving itself to causal explanations or a matter of freedom giving itself to accounts of the conditions of its possibility. Now, there are political stakes in drawing lines between what calls for causal accounts and what calls for accounts of the conditions of possibility. This includes the times we get conned into overstating our freedom. For example, when an abusive partner who is materially dependent on his abuser freely stays in his relationship. In this case, the concept of freedom is used to mask the coercive circumstances of unfreedom that correctly characterize this situation. This line between what is caused and thereby falls under the concept of nature, and then what falls under the concept of freedom, is historically contingent on the shape of human consciousness and how that shape becomes intelligible to us. The Hegel scholar Rocio Zambrana accounts for the changing shape of human consciousness by arguing that the intelligibility of the world is precarious and ambivalent, allowing for the possibility that what was known to be caused by nature may be eventually revealed as a matter of freedom, and vice versa. What was known to be free was actually caused by nature. To recap, causes are accounts of what brings X about. Yeah. Aristotle gives us 4 different causes: the efficient cause, which is external to the object; the formal cause, which is the arrangement of the object's parts that make it what it is and not something else; the material cause is the stuff that's arranged; and the final cause is that for the sake of which it is what it is. Aristotle's account of causality is a great way to talk about things as they occur in nature. But if we are talking about free actions in their freedom, the cause is freedom. And any account we give is an account of the conditions of the possibility for freedom to act in a certain concrete way. Thank you for taking the time to watch this latest episode of The Funky Academic. If you have any questions, please shoot me an email. And if you like what you see, please find me on Facebook or follow me on Twitter. Thank you again and take care. Bye.
I want to get funked up. Him, I want the bomb. I want the P-Funk, y'all.